I'm Willard Spiegelman, and I represent the James Merrill House Committee to welcome you here to our annual James Merrill Lecture. In 1984, that's almost 40 years ago, I read Each Leaf Shines Separate and immediately saw a new light and heard a new voice on the scene. Of this book, one reviewer said, Rosanna Warren writes with wisdom, grace, and pure intelligence as though to seize on a new life. Exploring the complexities of nature and art, she traces continuous travail between the earth, in its tangle of roots and cyclical consolation, and the restless and protesting mind. Thus, we encounter the struggle for sustaining generations of life in the villages of Europe, the ruins of Crete, a fresco, or bas-relief. The poet was in her 20s when she wrote these poems, but there was nothing amateur or beginnerish about them. And since then, there's been a steady climb, travel as well as travail. Over the intervening decades, there have been 5 other luminous books of lyrics which have their author's signature style, but with a deepening engagement with history, politics, and the toil and turmoil of public life. Plus a book of essays, Fables of the Self, from 15 years ago, and 2 years ago, the magisterial biography of Max Jacob, the French poet, painter, Jewish convert to Catholic mysticism, the friend of Apollinaire and Picasso, who died in 1944 at Drancy before being deported to Auschwitz. The book was an obsessive, 3 decades long project that had its beginnings when Rosanna was herself a very young woman, engaged in acts of translation and concerned with both the visual arts and the literary ones. Rosanna Warren has won too many awards to list and belongs to too many organizations to enumerate, but I shall mention briefly her chancellorship in the American Academy of Poets, membership in the American Academy of Arts and Letters, the American Academy of Arts and Science, and the American Philosophical Society, plus fellowships from the Guggenheim and Lila Wallace Foundations, an award from the Nation Discovery Contest, one of whose judges was James Merrill. She is currently, etc., etc., etc. She is currently the Hannah Hoburn Gray Distinguished Service Professor at the University of Chicago. Her work has been lauded by Harold Bloom, Christopher Benfey, Carol Muskie-Dukes, John Kinsella, and numerous others. I did not even know that there was a new volume, which I have just acquired. This is So Forth, new poems that was published as the pandemic was getting underway and therefore almost went under the radar screen. But you will all be able to find copies of this book at the soon-to-open James Merrill House office on Water Street. Hie there and do buy many copies. One critic, a critic who is often right, often but not always right, said about this book, Rosanna Warren is a writer I read immediately, no matter the place or time. Her manner is enticingly high, and the stuff is harrowingly everyday. So Forth has all the signature elegance, all the learning, the hunger, but the book is newly vulnerable, both personally and politically. Warren allows for the biggest laugh while making room for tears, and these poems feel like life itself, which ought to be the simplest, but is the hardest thing of all. Our neighbor, James Longenbach, wrote those words, and to see why he was right and to hear how he was right, you will now meet Rosanna Warren.